everyone, my name is Alexandria. I'm a master's student in Stephen Cook's Fish Ecology and Conservation Physiology Lab. And today I'm going to be talking to you about the influence of hook type on hooking characteristics and injury in angled freshwater gamefish. So before I get into it, I just want to give a huge thank you to my co-authors listed here on the screen, also everyone else not listed on the screen who helped me catch all these fish. Without you would not be possible. Also NSERC for funding this project. So this study actually goes right after Auston. He talked to you guys a little bit about catch and release fishing, and I'm going to be building on that today. So during catch and release events, these fish, we know they get injured. It's something that happens all the time, and it's inevitable. But the question is, what can we do about that? So today I'm going to be asking the question, does replacing treble hooks with single hooks on hard plastic lures reduce injuries and fishing handling times? On the screen here, I have two jerkbaits. They're exactly the same, but they have different hooks on the end of them. Then I have a treble barbless hook here, and I think you can see my mouse. And I have a barbed single hook on the bottom right. So what did we do? Well, we went in 5 different lakes and we targeted 3 different species, Northern Pike, Smallmouth bass, and Largemouth bass, and we captured them on 3 different lure types, crankbaits, jerkbaits, what you just saw, and lipless crankbaits. Those ones we only used pike and largemouth bass. And then each of those lure types, we had 4 different hook types, treble barbed, treble barbless, single J barbed, and single J barbless. So when we were angling, we would catch a fish, bring it into the boat as quickly as we could, and transfer it straight into a water-filled trough. While in the trough, we would record a bunch of different things. First thing, what we would get would be the total length of the fish. We would then look at how many hook points were in the fish, then record the amount of time it took to remove all of those hook points, and if any hook removal gear was used. When I say that, I also mean, was it removed by hand, the hooks, or did they come out on their own? And then we took the hooking depth of each of the hooks, and later on we took the average and the deepest one to evaluate. I'll get into that shortly. And then we have the reflexes and immediate mortality. So I'm going to go through each of these variables and explain the findings we found, but I'm only going to focus on the species that had significant differences just because this is a lightning talk. So we have the number of hooking points, and they varied from 1 to 5. We did not have any fish that were hooked with all six hooks. However, we did not find any significant differences between lures or hook types on the number of, oh my goodness, on the number of hooking points. I don't know why that's fast forwarding. And then we have the hook removal time. So this varied from 0 to 305 seconds. 0 would be anytime a hook was removed on its own, which we called self. In the middle would probably be something when it was removed by hand, and then longest would be when a hook was probably stuck in the gullet or the gills. I'm not going to get into the actual hooking location data. That would take way too long, and this is a lightning talk, so I'm going to focus on this here. So we found that hook type actually had a significant effect for all species. The treble barbed hook, oh my goodness, the treble barbed hook had the longest hook removal time, and the J barbless hook had the shortest unhooking time, and then treble barbless and J barbed were in between. So next I'm moving on to the use of hook removal gear. We did not find any significant differences between lures or hook types used. However, we did notice that in Northern Pike, hook removal gear was used a lot more frequently. And this is likely because of the teeth. So as I'm sure most of you know, you can lip a bass, but you probably shouldn't lip a Northern Pike. Their teeth pose a much bigger risk to anglers. So for angler safety, it's likely that hook removal gear was used more often. And now we have the hooking depth. So I'm going to focus right now on the average hooking depth. And for smallmouth bass, we found that single hooks, had a significantly shallower hooking depth in comparison to treble hooks, and that is for both crankbaits and jerkbaits. And actually, for the deepest hooking location, we actually found the same was true for both the crankbaits and the jerkbaits. the single hook was shallower than the treble hook. And this is exclusively, oh my goodness, this is exclusively for smallmouth bass. So now reflex and immediate mortality. So we use RAMP, which was reflex action mortality predictors. We focused mainly on maintaining equilibrium, burst swimming, and eye tracking. If they had those, they were given a score of 1, aka good to release. If they did not have all 3 of those, they were euthanized. And out of the 569 fish that we did catch, only 6 Northern Pike were euthanized due to low RAMP score. We did, however, find that significant effects of hook type were detected on RAMP scores for Northern Pike. So actually, treble barbed hooks were associated with negative effects on RAMP score. So all this to say, what should we do? Should we use those single hooks or not? Well, maybe we should, especially considering barbless ones on traditional hard plastic lures. It could be considered a best practice for angling in these 3 freshwater game fish that we found here. So that's all I have for you today. If there's other questions that I can't answer during the question period, I provided my Twitter and my email on the screen.